RP Show continues on a Monday, episode number 1525 of Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, airing here on the Game Plus television network, but also in 32 U.S. states. Really pleased to have my good friend Paul LaPolice with us from the CFL on TSN and the head coach of Canada's men's flag football team. Lapo, I'm going to jump right into it. Had Jock Wilson on with us last hour from QR Calgary. He is the Stampeders broadcaster out there. I said, what was the best game of the week? If you can forget your broadcast yesterday, or maybe you want to vote for it, what was the best game in the CFL in Week 4?
What I think I really liked watching Winnipeg Edmonton. Winnipeg being able to play really good defense, make their plays. Edmonton made some plays in that game, but just watching Zach Collaros operate that offense was fun to watch.
Good stuff. Now yours, did you expect Ottawa to come back in that game or not? And by the way, great call.
I thought that, I saw some players after the game, and when you go through coaching and you go through a long season, sometimes you might do some things that are good in a football game, and there's just some crazy things that happen in a game that just take the game away from you. I've never seen two return touchdown, like a fumble return of 100 yards and a missed field goal return over 100 yards. There are just some critical errors that the Red Blacks just need to kind of forget and go back to playing football. They're doing some good things defensively. They're removing the ball offensively. So it's hard when sometimes a game gets away from you. But Derek Sluka, made an amazing 2 plays that kind of defined that football game.
His coming out party, I think. And for those, I'll just say it, Thursday night it was Winnipeg over Edmonton, 36-23. Friday, Hamilton beat Montreal, 35-17. Saturday, Sask over BC, 37-18, out here in Sask. That's where I am, Lapo, for the summer. Not sure I told you. And Sunday, Toronto gets their first win at Ottawa, 29-16. The fans really want to talk to you about flag football. And by the way, so do I. But we had a viewer earlier that said, what's the biggest surprise? You got your Riders at 4-0, your Bombers at 3-0, Elks at 0-3. What's the biggest surprise so far?
I think the biggest surprise, I'm not surprised that Winnipeg's 3-0. When people said, Winnipeg's old, they had the best defense in the CFL last year. I expect them to be one of the tops this year. Montreal, same thing. So I think probably the biggest surprise for me would be maybe Toronto's 1-3 start. But certainly you can have an understanding with Chad Kelly not being healthy, and teams without their starting quarterbacks are going to struggle. That would be probably my biggest surprise. But Saskatchewan, again, decent defensive football team. They're going to have a decent record. BC Lions are only got 4 games in, but they've lost their quarterback for 2 games. Now they're sitting at 1-3. So that's probably my biggest surprise, is how many starting quarterbacks have been lost early in the season.
You've been doing media long enough now. You get the hot takes side of this. Can Jake Maier lead a team to a Grey Cup victory? He might have to in Sask, Lapo.
Yeah, I think so. It all comes down to certain things. Does he have a defense that can keep people out of the end zone? Yes. Can he make good decisions with the football? He's got a lot of experience. I don't think he's going to make the crazy plays Zach Collaros is going to make, Trey Ford's going to make, even the young Davis Alexander is shown to make early on. But if he can stay on schedule, they have a great run game. A lot of good things can happen for Jake Maier in the Saskatchewan organization.
Thank you for that. Okay, so to the flag thing, and we'll come back on the CFL thing. John in Edmonton says, question for Paul. What are your thoughts on Pat McAfee saying it's a disgrace that Team USA flag football lost against your team, Canada, last week, and said this cannot happen? Rich in Edmonton also, we have a lot of viewers in Edmonton. Rich in Edmonton writes, and he says, very calm and measured approach to the diss from McAfee, Lapo. Well done. So explain the whole thing, would you mind, to those that don't know?
Last week we had a friendly where we played in Los Angeles. It was Edmonton. Los Angeles was who played in it. Japan, the U.S., ourselves, and Australia. We ended up playing the United States first. We beat them. It was our first loss in 8 years, and we were able to we picked them off on the second play. Then we had a lead of the rest of the game. We drove length of field, had a touchdown. We did victory offense at the end of the game. And it was shocking. A lot of people in in the flag, there's 800 people there for this tournament, and they've teams across the countries, and people were just shocked that we beat them. That's kind of, I understand that a little bit. Now, Pat McAfee's comments, I don't know if he has a good understanding that we have a quarterback who spent 4 years in the Canadian Football League. We have some CFL players. That this is the first year that Canada, normally provincial teams that win basically are the best flag teams in the country would go down to represent. This year's the first time that we have actually recruited a roster. We've picked who we think are the best 12 players and brought them down. So I think those are things they don't know. Pat McAfee doesn't know I've coached in the Canadian Football League. I'm new to flag, so there's a lot of things I have to learn. But I do think I have a good understanding how to throw the football and put people in binds like we did 2 weeks ago. So, they'll learn. I'm sure they're going to learn that stuff, but it was a great weekend. It was great for our team. It was great to see the exposure it's gotten across the country.
Okay, so the interactive nature of this show. I just want to acknowledge Allie. She has checked in from Texarkana, Texas. She says, happy Monday, RP and squad. Just to catch everybody up, Paul LaPolice is with us, television commentator now, coach of football as well, and coach of Canada's men's flag football. It looks like you're going to be in the Olympics to me. There's a qualifying process, of course, but if you beat the USA, then there's a pretty good chance you'll be there. Now, Paul is American. That's what do people think you're Canadian, Lapo? I bet you.
That's a great point. It's funny because when I got hired, Kevin McDonald, the head of Football Canada, originally reached out to me to help the interview process. And then I kind of thought it would be an interesting thing. I was coaching my son's 7-on-7 flag. So I said, hey, how do I get involved? And he says, well, you got to apply. And then after having some talks with people, I thought I think the way I fit this role is because there may be eventually, there's been talk about NFL players coming in and CFL players, but eventually they want to put a more professional alignment to this job. So I thought I filled that role very well. When I took the job, there was not a lot of backlash that I was an American. So I think you're right, Rod. I think people forget I'm an American because I've been up here 25 years. I'm married to a Canadian. But I'm humbled by that opportunity. It was amazing. Just walking around yesterday before the game, seeing people grab me, players saying, hey, great win over the US. We're so happy. That was awesome. So, I'm happy to represent the football community and the community of Canada for this challenge to get there. Like you said, we got to qualify. We have to go to Worlds next year. And I think 3 Olympic bids are given out next year in the World Games. So got a lot of work to do, but we'll keep getting better.
I feel kind of bad even bringing it up. I mean, as you know, I've been the voice of Team USA football.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I'm Canadian. Nobody asked. In the States, they don't care. In Canada, everybody gets wound up about this. Correct?
I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of it, but I think, like you said, Rod, I don't think they don't see me as an American because I've been up here so long. So, and I've made Canada my home and all that stuff. So, no, and you are the voice of USA football. So, how did you know that this came about, that we beat them? Were you watching the game, or did you hear anything? What happened?
I follow it very, very closely. I was stunned like everybody. And the thing is, people got to understand, McAfee. As broadcasters, we do act a little bit, and we do need to entertain. But the thing is, Lapo, Americans, they just expect to win everything. So when they don't, it doesn't go well. I wonder if they're going to go into the lab, completely change their roster. This would have knocked them on their ass. Let's be honest.
Well, I think they did have some changes to their roster. I think they're rotating some different quarterbacks in. Now, their starting quarterback was obviously in the game, but they had an extra quarterback in their roster. They had some penalties. They dropped coverage a couple times. So, I mean, they're an outstanding football team. We had a good day that day, and I thought Michael O'Connor looked like the best quarterback at that whole tournament. So when you have a quarterback and you perform well, good things are going to happen. But, they're a well-coached team. I got to meet their coaches and their staff. They were fun, and I got a lot to learn about the game itself and the situational football. And that's why I'm excited. I got a bunch of film now, and got a couple months before we go to Panama in September to We got to finish 5 out of the first top 7 teams in Panama for I believe this is the Americas tournament. So everybody in the Americas are in that one. So more growing to do, and I'm looking forward to it.
You're not just a football guy, but you're a very bright guy. I would suggest brighter than most. Like when you got that job, I was thinking, how is he going to put this roster together? Because I've been thinking about it forever. And I'm like, you did it exactly the only way you could. You couldn't get any current Canadian pro players. They're playing, period. Whether it's NFL or Canadian, you're not going to get Curtis Rourke. You're not going to get these guys. You're going to have to get the recently retired. Now, did Anthony Auclair go with you in LA, the former Buck?
Yeah, so Anthony Auclair didn't even play in the game. And for those who don't know, Anthony Auclair is a 6'6". He's probably 220 pounds now. Tight end, 6 years in the National Football League. He got hurt in the first day of practice, so he didn't even play. I think when I took the job, I think our Football Canada staff had done a great job of ID camps, went across the country to find players. So we had the top 50 Canadians we felt that could play a number of roles. We also went out and recruited, like Travell Pinto, who had a great 4 days for us or 2 days for us over there. And I said Michael O'Connor I thought would be fit very well in what we do. So I tried to recruit those 2 guys. And, and then there's some talented players that are playing in flag across the country. We have a lot of guys from Quebec, obviously, that performed really well in the game and good coaching staff. Joel Lipinski from Saskatoon, who's I'm sure a lot of listeners know about and has his Ignite Fitness. It was good for me because Joel's got experience, helped me a lot through that. Warren Craney's on our staff, Patrick Bergon from over in Quebec, and a good crew of veteran football flag players with a mixture of some, CFL guys. And I think that my job was to figure out how to put a CFL offense in a 26-yard field route. And that was a lot of long days trying to get that sorted out.
Yeah, talent will win as well, I think. Carlos in Indianapolis writes, and he says, sounds like exciting times are ahead for flag football. Yeah, bro. 3 years ago, when I started announcing the games, people were making fun of me. You've probably heard it too a little bit, Lapo, but with me, it's like, oh, why do tackle football or pro football when you can do flag? I'm like, you're not getting it. This is the next big thing.
It's an amazing game.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
Yeah, Rod, you've covered it. It's so fun to watch. It could be a touchdown every 4 plays. The athletes are really good. It just continues to need to grow and get exposure. And, I think I got a little bit of blowback because it is a small knit community, the flag community. So when I was hired, I think there was some blowback, like this is a tackle guy who does not understand flag. And well, yeah, I got time to learn flag, if that makes sense. And I've worked my tail off to understand what flag's like. I think part of my job and our coach's job is to bring a group of players together. And we got a good group of guys. That's the role. And then the football is secondary. And that's what we're growing to.
Troy in Toronto writes in, he says, how do I see a high-level flag football game? Is there a tournament in the Toronto area I can check it out? Maybe seeing it live might open my eyes to the entertainment value. It's a good question. Where would you direct somebody to get a taste of this?
That's a good point. I guess you would have to go to Football Canada's website and see what they have for tournaments. I know there's a big tournament starting in Quebec next week. And maybe if there's a way, Rod, I could forward you the video where you can find the video of all our games last week in the friendly, and you could post it for people.
Sure. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, because all our games were televised online on using these. Kind of neat. They have these AI cameras now that kind of track the movement. And so all our 4 games are up on this one website, Home Team. So I'll try to forward it to you guys, and maybe you can put it out for us.
And there was some nice crowds there too. Like Tyreek Hill sponsors a league all across Florida, and he goes to the games. Like it's so. And I'm not talking. Ricky Collins Jr. is playing in the league. Like there's a lot of former. Yeah. Oh, I was watching it on television when I was still at home in Florida. I'm like, oh my God, it's Ricky. So isn't it kind of exciting though that it's rejuvenated a lot of ex-pros careers?
Yeah, I mean it's. Here's what I kind of like. Yeah, Anthony Auclair is a 6-year veteran in the NFL. Michael O'Connor is a CFLer for 4 years. But we do have some guys. We had a guy who had a really good day, AJ Gomez, receiver from Montreal. He was basically our extra guy, and when Auclair got hurt, he had to go in. He hasn't played anything but really flag football for the most of his career. So to see the team come together of some guys that are just flag guys with some former pro football players, I thought that was pretty cool to see that. And again, half of our, like, I'm looking at our defense right now. We have guys who played Queens, Western, Laval. So we have some of the best Canadian players across the country that started playing flag. And when this opportunity came up, they jumped at it at the ID camps and it performed. And, we had Japan twice. We beat Australia, and to beat the U.S. in our first game was a lot of fun. But we got to get better because the U.S. We've kind of put a bullet in ourselves now. Now the U.S. knows
target.
Okay,
a target.
Yeah. We're a target now, and that's okay. And actually, I talked to one of their people after the game, and the person came up and grabbed me who was associated with USA Football and said, "Thank you very much. We probably needed that we beat them." So
wow.
Maybe they think they're unstoppable.
Tell McAfee that. What do you mean? Probably they do. They hadn't lost in 8 years.
You're right.
Allie in Texas, right? She goes, "It sounds fun to me." John in Edmonton says, "Get Game Plus on the flag football game." John, that's not our job. Paul coaches it. I announce it. That we'll leave that to the powers that be. But the one thing for older people like us, I hate to say it, but we're getting old, Lapo. It's like the old men's national hockey program. The rosters are a dog's breakfast of what you just said. Former pros, university stars. It's the same. It's a dog's breakfast. Like, I don't think did you see Joanne Breskeson put on Twitter, when did Canada have their tryouts? There's a guy that probably could have played. I'm like, well, open your eyes, guys. Follow this.
So, and the thing I'm trying to impart on our players is we're trying to treat flag football, or at least I have. Every opportunity I have with this team and these players is we are the 10th professional football team in the country. We have the 9 Canadian Football League teams and the men's national flag team. So, part of my job when we were down and we're at a college in Long Beach was, literally standing next to a woman for an hour trying to get her to finally give me a meeting room that I could present video to instead of being in a common area in a dorm room. So, to be able to get the right meeting rooms for these players, we have DV Sport, which is the same video system that every CFL team. We record every game. We have a video coordinator. So the players have access to film. And this is all things you do in a professional organization. And that's what I'm trying to impart the knowledge to these guys. We're competing on a national level. We're competing on a professional level, and do the things correctly. And it's been a good start. We got a lot of work to do. I have a staff meeting tonight with our coaches, first time since we got home, and then we'll map out the next couple of weeks.
It was probably Scott Hallenbeck, the CEO of USA Football, that said we probably needed that, because he came up to me in the booth in Charlotte and he goes, "Oh man, you treat this like it's the Super Bowl." I'm like, to me it is. Yeah, like, why wouldn't we, right? We got 45 seconds. You're a TV guy now. Time's tight. How's it feel to be back on the sidelines, Lapo, and in those rooms?
I really enjoyed the process of trying to figure out how to attack teams, just how to learn the game. I enjoy working with players and seeing players have success. So to see those guys have so much success. One player came to me at the end of the game or that night and said, "Lapo, this is amazing. Like, you don't understand how big a deal this was."
Sorry, Lapo. We had to go. We're out of time. But we got it. You don't understand how big a deal it is. We'll be back with more right after this.